Yeah. What's good, yo? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk, where, as always, it's shit's real. We talk about it. Yo, I'm your host for tonight, Pat Scorpio, New England representative. And as always, I got my man with me. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hey, yo, what's good? You know who this is. Your boy King P, Bodega Box in the building. Ring Gang Radio all day. Let's go.
Yes.
We got one less person, so you know what I'm saying. I'm here to we got to pick up the slack today. So
Yes, sir. Pat Scorpio and King P. And then, Pilot, Conscious Pilot will probably join us in a little bit.
Yeah, his flight was a little delayed, so.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? Because, these airports, they be tripping, just like it was tripping like when me and P was coming back from New Orleans from that Prograde fight, like fucking ridiculous,
Don't remind me.
Yeah, that was by far, of all the traveling that I've done, that was by far the worst cancellations, because they canceled my flight 3 fucking times within 24 hours. It low-key ruined that last night in New Orleans, because I was ready to at least get paid the town ready, and I'm getting all these notifications about cancellations. Shit was horrible, because it was scorching hot in New Orleans, but Boston was getting all types of thunderstorms and shit. Yeah, it was horrible though. But one day maybe a topic will be horror travel stories, because me and Pete, we've traveled a lot, and yeah. There've been some doozies.
Oh, yeah. I definitely got a doozy for that one, for whenever that topic comes up. So
yeah, no, real talk though. But dig though, yeah, we got a couple recaps, and then we got a Twitter poll for y'all tonight. So we gotta start off basically before we get into Jake Paul shit. We saw the return of one former WBC heavyweight champion, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Fighting on. That was, I think it's like Global Combat Collective card.
Yeah, I forgot what the hell it was called. All I know is it was in Kansas. I was like,
yeah, it was in Kansas, and it was BAKL Prime. If you want, if you had the subscription to it, you got it for free. Else, you had to pay like $24.99 for it. So actually, I don't have either, and I don't necessarily condone it, but I had to watch it through other means. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't illegal. I mean, it was on YouTube. Someone was.
I was watching it on YouTube too.
Yeah. So I mean, one thing I'll say about the event was it looked low budget as hell. Like I know most people will be like, we'll go on like the Zone and some of the Zone events like that, but that shit was worse. Like it was dusty, it was dark, there was all types of hot mic stuff going on. Like there was some serious hot mics issues going over there. Like, yeah, that shit. Like honestly. I get Wilder is, he's in the 9th inning of his career right now, but they could have picked a better platform with better logistics to actually do this type of fight. You know what I'm saying? Like there are smaller promotions on the Zone that had that were more professionally run and stuff like that than what we saw there. And Global Collective, they actually did a good job with Prograde and Zepeda. Like that shit was clear as a motherfucker. This one was just like, yeah, it just looked dark and smoky. It looked like it was like it was like for someone who was once a top 5 heavyweight, that's as low as you can go, type of deal. But anywho, Wilder, prior to this fight, he fired Malik Scott, and he also, he got a new trainer. So, and trainer that will hopefully, to work out some, give him some new wrinkles, although he's like give or take 4 months short of turning 40. So, but I guess it's better late than never, because he's coming back. He's like 1-4 in his last 5 fights.
Hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
It was though, but at least for this fight with Herndon, Tyrell Herndon, it looked like he attempted to actually fight with his new style, but
but let's be real. I don't say a prime Wilder, but a Wilder a decade ago would have got that can out in 1, maybe 2 rounds.
I'll say this. The one thing I liked was his actual commitment to using the jab.
Exactly. Yes.
I haven't seen that from him in a while, so I was like, you know what? I like it. I always thought, like, a guy like Wilder, like, why can't he just really utilize the jab more? So I was like, you know what? Okay, we're getting back to that. Okay, the jab looks sharp, but I just thought, like, I mean, yeah, he's been out for a while, so he's a little rusty. But honestly, to me, it was more than that. I just don't think the reflexes and athleticism are there anymore.
They've been gone for a bit.
But in this one, it was painfully obvious that like the reflexes were shot.
Yes, that's the one thing. Like I get the job. I mean, luckily with the jab, you don't necessarily have to have your knee. If you keep a steady jab, like that's just half the battle. At least you can set up your offense that way.
He used to use the jab, I feel like, to measure his right hand. That was that was like his reason why he ever used the jab. It feels like.
No, obviously, back in the days when he was on Golden Boy, and then later on, he basically it was a rangefinder, and then probably when he won the belt from Stavern, that was his best jab. Like, bro used his jab, like jab, right hand, that was his best boxing performance. But then, like I said, from every part, he fell in love with his power because, he had a God-given ability to knock somebody unconscious with one shot without so much as setting up a body shot or wearing them down, like they were gone after one shot. And unfortunately, that didn't do much for his for his growth as a boxer, and eventually water met level. So you just see him at least go back to the basics against there, but. One thing, but with Pete mentioning his reflexes, was Herndon for at least half the fight was able to see that right hand coming, like either he'd back up or he'd slip it, like he was, or if I do one or the other. Like I was thinking to myself, God damn, like and then when the rights did land, it didn't necessarily knock him off his feet like that. I was like, oh wow, look, that's where Pete was talking about the reflexes not being there. And stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Herndon kind of anticipated it quite a bit, so
he did.
So I mean, that I'll give him props for that. He knew that was in the game plan and did his best to not let it hit him flush.
So, he got worn down. Yeah, he kind of felt like he watched Joseph. He just watched the Joseph Parker fight as much as he could for his sake. It felt like the way he was fighting Herndon. That is.
Yeah, I mean, his biggest mistake was, he was doing a good job avoiding the right hand. Like, he had the good movement. But, for someone like Wilder, you actually got to start, putting in some work early. Like, you have to fire back. Like, this is the one thing, it's good. Like, we talk about this a lot. It's good to be defensive, yes. But you're depending on a guy that, Wilder, for the most part, when he's actually at that type of weight, his stamina is actually pretty good. It's like, I don't know if he was waiting for him to wear down or whatever, but he wasn't doing enough to actually to wear Wilder down, to at least put some put a little damage on there. Although he did stagger Wilder a couple times, though, there was no question about that. But it was just it wasn't enough to do it, and he got wore down from doing all that moving around. And then the funny thing is too is the one thing that Wilder did that I don't think it's been once I've seen him do it, is he actually scored a knockdown with a check hook. Actually, and that's something I didn't even think was even in his repertoire at all, to hit someone with that check hook. And because everyone knows his right hand is powered, and his left hand he's never shown
that hook was a little wide and at times a little sloppy, but managed to make it work. So.
It was iffy, but I mean, yeah, it was a shit show of a whole show. Like I actually ended up watching some of that show on the YouTube. Some nigga on the stream was bootlegging that shit, and he was hilarious. But it was just kind of a whole shit show.
He was on. He was basically just telling people if
you watching that one too? You watching that stream too?
Yeah, he's like, if you give me the 10K, then I'll shut up type of deal. I'm like, nigga, you should be shutting up already. Like the fuck.
He did get 10K. He got 10K off that shit though. I mean, I know he got clipped, but that's crazy.
Yeah, I said, but dude needed to shut up a little bit. Like, come on,
he was talking a little too much.
But Wilder eventually, Pilot said before, if this was a more fresher Wilder, dude would have been out here at the latest by 3. And because I know I put a bet on a first round knockout, and I know Matt from Brunch Boxing put out a little I got to pull his card because dude was out there I think put that as a short thing, fucking Wilder getting a knockout in the first round. I'm pretty sure there were a lot of upset people that that probably read that as okay, let me go do this shit, and then that shit didn't come close to happening because I think Wilder was just so committed to actually just jabbing, to set up his offense, But eventually he got the stoppage in the 7th round. The referee kind of saved him, and truth to be told, it was kind of an anticlimactic knockout in a way. But
he was getting wore down, right? I think he was getting wore down. Yeah, he wore down.
Yeah, so like I mean I get it. Like if it's better to it's better to have Hernan at least be stopped on his feet. That's the different just when he's about to be defensive, rather than Wilder being able to kind of load up a right hand from out of nowhere and send this dude to the intensive care. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like it's something to build on, because, like I said, the new coach already matched the number of wins he had with fucking
Malik Scott.
Yeah.
Do you think, real quick, in regard to Wilder, at this point in his career, obviously I think he's 40 almost, maybe 41, I'm not sure. Is it?
No, he turns 40 this year.
Okay. So would you do a whole, because I know you said you want to fight 2 more fights, would you do a quote-unquote bum of the month tour type thing? Like get him 5-6 wins on some, or
no.
Okay.
There's no reason to do that.
Don't put him on chilling circuit, just cash him out?
Yeah, no, just if we can, I mean, call me crazy. I'm still holding out at least a little smidgen of hope that there's still Wilder and Joshua. I don't care. I would still take that at this point.
This is gonna be the biggest travesty in boxing to not get a black African American UK, all undisputed at its apex. It's just it's the biggest travesty in the 20. It had arguably the 21st century of boxing. I'm not even lying. We didn't get that.
I mean, it's up there, and it's unfortunate. Like I said, I mean, it's just like when Stevenson and Kovalev. They shared a fucking card, and Stevenson booked it to PBC, and then that shit was lost.
I mean, we have matchups like fucking Charlo Hurd and Superman Kovalev, LSC and GR, Gary Russell. But Wilder Joshua, that's the one that's the most missed. I feel like at least the past 15 years or decade, man.
I mean, there's that. I mean, as far as heavyweights, because when they were undefeated, that was the. I mean, it's the same with Joshua and Fury too. Like. The fact that Joshua's in 2 of those type of fights where it's missed opportunity that never happened is an atrocity. Like though any of those, one of those 2 fights happened would have done wonders for the heavyweight division. Surely would have done wonders for one of their Wilder's reputation or Joshua's reputation.
We did get the Wilder Fury trilogy, which will be a memorable trilogy all time. I don't care what it is what it is. It'll be a memorable heavyweight trilogy, but. It's still a missed moment in time with Joshua.
No, it is and in fact, it's like it's at the point right now where it's nearing expiration date, because now obviously Wilder just got back on the win column and Joshua is recovering from surgery, and he's probably down until the fight, until probably maybe later this year. And judging by his video, because I follow, dude has been making tours of Africa and he's been living life. You know what I'm saying? Bro's been out there in different countries just living his life.
Yeah, I saw him and Azuma Nelson, together. That was pretty dope. That was,
Yeah, no. But, I mean, with Wilder, I know Wilder says he wants to be back in the ring in the next couple of months. And he mentioned going to South Korea, which is very random and very odd.
Like he must have got a proposed bag out there to go and fight in South. He probably got some kind of guarantee offer or some shit of some money he can't.
Yeah. But the question is, like, who would I mean, of all the places, like, who would he be fighting out there? So, I get, like, I mean, Wilder, to my knowledge, is a man that made more than enough money in the sport. Like, he made generational money. So, I mean, if he's taking these random fights, like, hopefully it's just a fight. I mean, it's either like, it should be just like a fight where, like, okay, like something on the level of Herndon to at least work off the ring rust, because he was pretty rusty, but it was also clear that age and the level of fights he was at, the beatings he was taking, it caught up to him in a way. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes with Wilder. I think his next fight, depending on what it is, I know, like P says, put him in against Joshua. I don't think. I mean, truthfully, I don't think they'll do the. I mean, if they do the Joshua fight off rip after he's come out of surgery, I'll be surprised. So I would think that Joshua probably would need a tune-up, of some sort coming up there. But if Joshua's like, you know what, I want Wilder after that, like more props to him. Because unfortunately, it still is. It's still a 50-50 fight. Or
yeah, we still want to see it. We don't.
Joshua Fury, Joshua Wilder is still a big fight for whatever reason. It is. It just is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Fury right now is retired, and he says he's retired. He's not.
I thought he came out with the fake. I'm coming back type. You know how you pump faking all the time and shit. I thought he came out with some bullshit.
Yeah, he's always doing like. I mean,
I'll be honest. Tyson Fury is a guy I wouldn't believe him even if his tongue was notarized. I don't care. He can't. Anything he says to me is null and void. So.
Fury is a guy. Well, one thing I will say though, because I watched this reality show, and if you watch, and if it was on, it's still on Netflix. If you watch this reality show, you can kind of see how and why he moves the way he does. Like it's really let's just say boxing does more for him more than any of these other cats in there.
I agree. Marquise, what up? Not the best fight weekend. Yeah, it wasn't. And Zoro, what up, Zoro? Wasn't the performance that will set his name on fire, but maybe it was what Wilder needed. Yes, you know what? It was what Wilder needed. So
he did need that because basically, like, I mean, after the Fury fights, he had the gimme with what's his name, and then Hellenius, and then afterwards, he got thrown with Parker and then Zhang. Like these then they were hard fights. They were beatings, extended beatings, and a brutal knockout. So like it was good for him to kind of get a lower level because those are Herndon was the type of level that Wilder needed in order to look good at. Because if Herndon knocked him out, then I would be like, yeah, Wilder's probably done.
Or even if Herndon really like seriously hurt him, I would have just been like, we're good. What up, Chris Brandt? Salute, G's. And Wilder is cooked next time he faces a top 15 guy. I don't know about top 15, but top 10. Yeah, it depends on the matchups. Really.
Depends on the matchup. Yeah, like. But I mean, I would not put money on Wilder beating Usyk or Dubois or
no.
Yeah, he's not.
I mean, I would still favor him over the Dillian Whites and the Derek Chisoras. Those guys.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really that completely high on Atama, but I definitely would favor Atama in that fight if they were to fight.
I'm not saying Atama, but like I said, like those guys, those who are even more older and more cooked than Wilder. Yeah, I would take Wilder to beat those guys. But
yeah, I mean, and funny too is now Big Baby Miller is calling him out in the video, and truthfully, Big Baby, it's hard to kind of. Like Big Baby for all of his PED usage is not, he can take some punishment.
It's not a good matchup for
it's not a good matchup for Wilder on that one because he would really be forced to really try to knock him out with one shot, and that might be a little bit difficult to do. So, but yeah, like I would say like make Wilder just kind of fight these type of level points, like give him at least one more, and then afterwards. Try to cash him out in a big fight of some sort, like make the Joshua fight. But yeah, look, because like I said, because that Joshua fight is going to have an expiration date.
I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of crazy. Wilder and Joshua never mixed it up, both being on PBC. I know there was rumors and it almost kind of fruition, but it's kind of unfortunate. That would have been a good fight 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago that would have been the fight though. But it's just like I said, I mean, Wilder went the Fury route, and And unfortunately, Joshua lost his 0 to Ruiz. It's just a lot of unfortunate situations that didn't need to happen, but it's just like people just couldn't get their shit together, and Joshua got deprived of his marquee fights, and Wilder got deprived of actually being the number one heavyweight. So, but like I said, it's not the first or the last time that the business of boxing gets in the way of the career trajectory of a fighter. Shit's gonna happen. But like I said, something to grow on to, and something to also mention before we move on to the Jake Paul card. Shout out to Mbili though, for knocking out Sulecki in one. Now
I expected a little more. I was surprised that was like that first uppercut.
Yeah, honestly, because Sulecki, for his shortcomings, is a durable guy. Sulecki is a hard guy to knock out. Like, he's faced enough guys that could have put him away. And honestly, I actually put money on that fight going the distance.
I love how we just look at them, how we look at him differently. You say durable, I say punching bag, but yeah, at this point,
I expected. I mean, see, I call him Mbili. I always feel like eventually he will get exposed. I was surprised he knocked him out with that uppercut in the first round. I was like, damn, that was quick.
Yeah, because the thing is, though, is like, and Billy looked bad, although he put on a beating, but he looked bad when he fought Derevyanchenko, and I'm just like,
he claimed injury, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a fight where I was expecting Derevyanchenko to actually get stopped, and like Derevyanchenko has more mileage on his body than Sulecki does, so that's why I was.
But he also has he's got fucking 9 lives. Where every time you expect the young guy to just step on him and finally get him out the paint, he turns back the hands of time for fucking 5 rounds of just what the fuck happened?
He basically 5 or 6 rounds. He gives these guys absolute hell.
He's got a warrior spirit. Yeah, you can never count out Derevyanchenko's heart. He got a warrior heart for sure.
Yeah, he does too. And then Sulecki, I thought, like I said, I mean, punching back too, but he was a punching bag that had never been stopped until Mbili. He gave him one. He absorbed like a Tyson uppercut combo, and that was it. I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, come on.
Uppercut. Yeah, that was a crazy uppercut.
Yeah, I'm like, come on. Like, I expect that shit go the distance. I was like, shit, I should have gave. I bet the wrong fight on the wrong motherfucking round prediction.
Who would you favor, real quick? But just a quick glance: Pacheco or Mbili, if they were to fight next, who would you favor?
What was that?
50-50. 50-50.
Pacheco versus Mbili.
It's like 50-50, yeah.
It's 50-50.
Which depends on which version of both guys we're getting. Because, like I said, with Mbili runs hot and cold. So
does Pacheco. Pacheco.
Yeah, no. Pacheco has his moments too, but Pacheco has his opposite moments where it's like, oh yeah, he don't look good. So it's a 50-50 fight. That's the fight where both of them would show their true level.
Yeah, no. And funny thing too is I mean, obviously with Mbili right now, he put himself in the sweepstakes for Canelo. Now, will he get Canelo? That remains to be seen. At this particular time, he probably. I mean, if Canelo goes after him, then I'd be completely surprised. But as long as Mbili probably has that belt, most likely when Canelo is ready to get rid of it, or if let's just say Crawford relieves him of that belt, I mean, if Crawford beats him, it'll be like, is Crawford going to actually defend those belts?
No, he won't. He won't. I was going to say, real boxing fans need to hope Crawford, if you want to see 168, which I think is a budding division that has a lot of good fighters, if you want to see these matchups be made, you want Crawford to win because he's going to drop the belts, they'll disperse, and we'll get some matchups. But
yeah, and then Billy will be the actual WBC champion, and then the WBC will be like, okay, you got 2 Mandos, now you got to satisfy. That's what they like to do.
What up, Blazing Killer? Salute Ring Gang. Off topic, but Pat, we got to calm down with the Jake hate on the RGR Twitter. We'll get into Jake.
We're gonna get into that shortly. But Billy though, I'll give him his props though, because like I said, I didn't expect. Now, if he was like him, I thought he would kill him late, because everyone that fights Sulecki kind of nearly knocks him out late, but Sulecki survives type of deal. Or if they get him down early, they don't I was there when he fought Andre, and then Andre didn't step on the gas anymore to get him out of there. It's just but Sulecki always finds a way to survive against motherfuckers that can punch. And this time it was just all it took was just one uppercut and he was out of there. So Mbili is definitely alive. It is definitely he might be a top 3 super middleweight right now. I mean, that's probably safe to say, fellas. He's up there because he's hot and cold though. That's gonna make him. That's what makes him exciting to watch. You just don't know which version you're going to get with him. But salute to him because, like I said, I didn't expect that type of knockout from him. So, but yeah, but it was like I said, Friday was a decent night of fights though. And then Blazer Killer, we got Saturday, we got the Jake Paul card, and I'll say this about Jake Paul, and we'll talk about Jake Paul first and all that. Before that, Jake Paul, like I said, Jake Paul as a promoter, I have 0 issues with dude. He's probably one of the few that focuses on actually doing the club and prospect shows outside of Golden Boy. He's the one that actually he signs talent that's not necessarily like a herald, like they're not coming out of the Olympics like Eddie or Top Rank. The Top Rank be doing. Like he signs, he signs potential fighters, like fighters that have a little
Yeah,
swerve, like,
he was responsible for the marksman fights with that Aguilar, I think. Those two lightweight fights. That was really good fights.
Yeah, like, and I would give him because like Jake's cards, if you watch them, they are entertaining to watch for the most part because it's well ran on that aspect. Their matchmaker, they do a wonderful job matching these prospects up early. The only slip up though was what they did with Old Boy. Like apparently they released him, and that's not cool. That wasn't cool at all.
Oh, Kid Austin. I'm sorry, Schofield.
Not Kid Austin.
Sylve, H2O.
Yeah, they released Sylve, and there was no reason there was no good reason why they released him.
He's on two. He's on two for the niggas at 135, 147. He's on two.
Exactly. And they kept the dude that actually knocked him out. Like he's actually getting the marquee fights now. Go fig.
Oh yeah, body's bum ass.
Yeah. So, but other than that, I have no problem. Like Jake, he has relationships with every platform. Like the Zone does his prospect shows. He has relationships with regular pay-per-view. He has relationships with Showtime. He has relationships with all types of these providers. Amazon was willing to spend money on him, and now Netflix is really like he has all these relationships, and I have no problem with the promoter side of him and the guy that co-runs the MVP promotions. What I have a problem with is Jake Paul, the fighter. Now, Jake Paul, when he started fighting, it was just like, oh, okay, basketball players, MMA players, shit like that, like, or other YouTube influencers. That's basically, it's like, I didn't mind him fighting those fights because those were just his level of fights. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, you do that because more than not, the knockouts would actually come. And because like let's put it, no one's gonna sit there and try to watch Jake struggle box. Like most people want him to like lay the hammer down at some point in the round against some MMA fighter that doesn't have any hands, or a basketball player that doesn't have no hands, or a YouTube influencer that doesn't really have hands like that. And that was cool. But somewhere along the line, Jake decided that he wanted to be a real boxer, and and then he's been going the backdoor way, so to speak, in order to actually do it. That's where I have a big problem with this, because basically you're watching the con play out, and everyone knows it's a con, but he's trying to pass it off as it's not a con, and that's the shit that kind of that's the shit that kind of irritates me. And honestly, it just came to the head with the Mike Tyson fight. I was disgusted by everything with that fight, and again, you go from Mike Tyson to get your official win to go into Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who was just coming out of rehab for another drug or alcohol issue that he had. Dude clearly wasn't where he probably needed to be, but Chavez has always kind of lucked into some sort of money in his career. Like, dude, I don't think whenever a boxer needs something, he's right there and he gets a bag for it. It's actually disgusting that he can actually make these type of bags, so late in his career.
Yeah, I kind of get tired of the hoopla sometimes. So
yeah, like his father, his father is one of the greatest fighters of all time, and it must kill his soul to see his son being basically hoarded out for money. He's hoarded and because just to fuel his addictions, because they know like Chavez got a big bag for Canelo. He got a big bag for Daniel Jacobs, which he was actually performing admirably in that one. And it's just like he keeps getting these bags and he doesn't deserve them. And then you see this fight here where you would think someone who was a former middleweight champion who usually fights in volume would be able to kind of
those days are long gone, Pat. Long gone.
Yeah. And I get that, but it's not like Jake Paul is some sort of stamina guy. Like, bro, that gasses after 3 rounds. Like, this is where like this. Like, if you're gonna play the con, you better try to knock dude out. Like, like you gotta actually go. Like, don't try to box dude. Like, knock him the fuck out. If he's not gonna do it, or if Chavez is gonna do something, or if Chavez can do it, knock him the fuck out, because basically it was like 8 rounds where it was just you saw a whole bunch of struggle boxing. You saw Chavez not throwing anything, and then you see Jake landing some bullshit ass throwing uppercuts from way back there and landing them. And I'm thinking to myself, I know Chavez Jr. knows better than this. He can counter. Like there was, and Jake after like 4th round, his hands were down. Like, and Chavez showed no life until the 9th round, where he started tagging him, and Jake was kind of all over the place after that. Like he's like, oh shit, he's hitting me, that type of deal. 9th and the 10th rounds, the final rounds. That's the only time he showed life, and it was just like, it was just disgusting. Like, where's your fucking pride? Like, I mean, even Tyson showed a little bit more from that one. And Tyson is almost 60 years old. Like that's why it's just ridiculous, And I think this time, people saw the contest. People were booing him. Like people were booing Jake Paul and then Jake Paul, had the nerve to be like, yeah, I want Joshua. I want.
He cut a heel promo after he won. He cut a heel promo. He cut.
Yeah, I want Tank. Like, come on, bro. Like, you're not serious. You are not serious. If you're calling out heavyweights, you want Badu Jack. Cool. You want this, but you want Tank. That, and what the fuck does Tank do for you? Nothing. You outweigh him by like 70 fucking pounds. Yeah, like what the fuck why would you want to deal with? Why do you want to fight Tank? That's the shit, and that's the shit that be like. I get it. He brings an audience, and he brings a consistent audience too into there. But sooner or later, like you can only do this con so much before people are like, okay, what is it? And it doesn't help too that he already has a loss to the quote unquote to the one fighter that he fought that was young and in his prime, and he hasn't revenged it yet. And so it's a terrible dichotomy to see a Tommy Fury struggle box his way to a win, but then you go and you're fighting old washed up versions of Mike Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And then you talk about you want to be a champion and you're a legit fighter. Nah, Chief, that don't work that way. It's just as bad as when pro wrestling they say they start telling like, hey, this is a work, this ain't real. And they start breaking kayfabe and shit like that. That's how this bullshit is to me. You can't you either commit to the con or you don't do it at all. Simple as that with Jake Paul. Yeah, Jake Paul needs to shit or get off the pot. If you say you're a boxer, act like one. And
I don't want to see Chavez Jr. anymore. That was fucking embarrassing.
No. Chavez Jr. completely disgraced himself. So I know the other fight, like I was on Twitter, like Andre Berto, Ishe Smith, like there were a lot of fighters that were not happy with that. Like Tyson has an excuse because he's Tyson, but Chavez did not have an excuse.
The man spent 4 rounds just putting his hands in his pockets, not doing the goddamn thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know who was worse that night with that shit, Chavez or Zerto, because both of them were pissing me the fuck off with that shit.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into Zerto's performance.
But at least Zerto has more of an excuse. Chavez has no excuse.
Yeah, but I mean, Zerto at least did work a little bit. Chavez couldn't be bothered to work a little bit until the 9th round.
Plus, at least Zerto was, Zerto had against Dorticos, and say whatever you want about Dorticos. Dorticos is a dangerous guy. He's the guy that he can punch. He can really punch. So, and my concern, my issues with Zerto was more how fucking out of shape he came into the ring. Fucking fat, musty, and sloppy.
Yeah, like here's the thing with before I go into Zerto. Like I said, Jake Paul. Like if you want to be a legit fighter, bro, you gotta fight legit fighters. Like if you fought any of the cruiserweight champions right now without your little agreements, because I'm pretty sure there's an agreements with it. I'm pretty sure they will put their foot in your ass. Like every single cruiserweight champion, Pataya, Zerto, who you did the standoff with, and Badu Jack. Badu Jack is old and he's been through his wars, but there's nothing that there's nothing from Jack Least can tell me that he won't put his foot in your ass. Like none. and upper title will separate you from your senses. So it's like, come on, like Jake Paul needs to get together on that, like because I watched this at DMB's and they had that in the UFC, and people were reacting to UFC more than the Jake Paul shit. Like I think I was probably maybe one of 4 people that was actually really watching the Jake Paul shit while the others were watching UFC. And pretty much, and once that UFC shit was over, it was just like 5 people of us were just sitting there watching Jake Paul shit at Dave and Buster's. Like,
I ain't gonna lie. The main event of UFC kind of peaked. I mean, after round 5 or 6 of that Chavez Jake, I just kind of gravitated towards the main event.
Yeah, and everyone gravitated, and they all left. And I'm just sitting there with my fucking Long Island watching this shit because I'm thinking to myself, God damn. Because the Long Island kept me in my seat, though. And that shit was good. Shit.
How was the wings? Well, at least I hope the wings were good.
Nah, I didn't get wings, nigga. I had barbacoa. I had a barbacoa quesadilla.
Oh shit!
Yeah, that I love that shit. That shit is fire, bro.
Was it Buffalo Wild Wings? You said?
What's that?
Where was that? What was that? Was it Buffalo Wild Wings you were at?
No, Dave and Buster's.
Oh, DMBs. I got you, DMBs.
Yeah. Dave and Buster's. They air all the fights. Like the fights that I don't think are worth buying, and that one was not worth buying.
Convenient as
hell. Yeah. I go there. I watch it for free. I get drinks. I post up. They know me by now. They give me that small speaker, where I can turn the station to one of the TVs to actually hear the audio on the table.
That's fire as hell. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit is peace because I've been there so much. So because during the football season, so they know who I am. So it's like per usual. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I fuck with that. That's the only way to watch a bad card, bro.
I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, Marcus. Yeah, the UFC fight was more interesting. Yeah. Like I said, it was definitely interesting because, like I said, Jake Paul is not the person.
No, but I will say, like, because I got the Fire Stick, so I got the split screen. I was really into the beginning of the card. You know what I'm saying? Which we'll talk about, of course. I'm sure the opener.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely talk about that because the undercard was honestly, it was cool
until Zerto kind of ruined the vibe. I mean, the first 4 fights or 3 or 4 fights was fired, and Zerto
were fired. Yes,
Zerto kind of was looking boring at first. So, yeah,
but at least with Jake Paul, at least we know his struggle. He's not entertained. He can't box. Zerto has no fucking reason. Because to look at him now, you would think that this dude was actually once a super middleweight champion, and he used to make this weight over and over and over again. How? I don't understand how the fuck he does it, how he did it. And then he goes to light heavyweight, and you think, okay, good, he's a light heavyweight, but he looks like he's too big for light heavyweight. Then he goes to cruiserweight. Now he's too fucking big for cruiserweight. Like bro has to either get a nutritionist or something, but there's no fucking way that this dude, I mean, he's a whole cruiserweight, and he looked like he gained like 40 pounds overnight.
Yeah, he don't care about his diet. It seems like I'm saying it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it looked like once he made the cruiserweight limit, bro just said, "Look here, bro. Like, okay, just give me all the food that I can eat." And he looked like he had pigeon fat. Like, bro didn't look in shape. Like,
yeah, he had the round tires around his stomach. Felt like.
Yeah, and then his activity, like usually Zerto has good activity for a guy of his size. The activity, and fun things too is like. One thing that was kind of low key alarming, like when he unified the belts in his last fight, like he put a beating on dude, like it was a serious beating. Dorticos must have absorbed a lot of punches, but Dorticos didn't even look like he was in a fight most of the time. But the only thing that saved Zerto was the fact that Zerto has a really good chin because, as P said, Dorticos is a guy that can punch. Dorticos can lay you out with one shot if you're not careful. And Doricos hit that dude, and he didn't go anywhere. I don't know if maybe it's just the extra weight or whatever the fuck, but that was the most impressive thing that Zerto did in that whole fight. But that was it. Like Zerto, there's no fucking reason for Zerto to be that fucking out of shape at cruiserweight. Like if you don't feel like making weight anymore, just go to fucking heavyweight and fight heavyweights.
He's not doing that.
Yeah, because unfortunately, Zerto does not have heavyweight power. Has he scored a cruiserweight stoppage yet? I don't think he has.
Nope.
No, I think the last stoppage he had was at light heavyweight. Which is where if he had more discipline, that's where he should be. That's where he should have resided. He should have stayed there. But Zerto needs to get that whole shit together, bro. Like there was no reason for him to be coming into that ring fucking out of shape. I get it, you're getting up there in age, but you didn't look this out of shape in your last couple of fights. Like, come on, bro. Like you gotta get this shit together. Like there's no reason for you to be that fat in the ring. And truthfully, I think if he was in shape, he would. I would say Doricos, because I was expecting Doricos maybe to be stopped late, but Doricos was in that fight. He just the punches that he threw, it didn't bother him. He walked through them basically because he had so much extra weight on him. But Pilot said that fight did low key did start kill the vibe of the card. And that was the fight that people were looking forward to, too. Like that was a really good fight on paper, but it turned out to be like a dud.
Yeah, can't have nice things, I suppose.
No, we cannot. Yeah, Miss Bitch. Yeah, Zerto's 6'4" and weighed a lot. He can make. Yeah, no, Zerto. Yeah, I'd say at heavyweight because he doesn't have heavyweight. The heavyweights at heavyweight, they all punch. They all punch extremely hard. So if Zerto goes there, he's gonna have to have a punch to kind of dissuade him, and he's not punching like that at cruiserweight. So it's gonna be hard to kind of dissuade some of these big motherfuckers that are bigger than him at heavyweight to let them go. Zerto will probably get his ass kicked at heavyweight if he goes up there because he's not doing anything different than what he did at 68 and 75. So yeah, it's definitely not a good idea for him to go up in weight to heavyweight. He can make it though. But yeah, he's gonna have to kind of get his conditioning under control for that to happen. But yeah, no, he was the biggest disappointment on the card for me because that fight itself wasn't disappointing. I was looking forward to a good hard cruiserweight scrap, and you got a dud. But like the other fights though, they were fired though. Schofield and Tevin Farmer again. Another fight where I didn't see a first round knockout. Hell, I didn't even see Schofield winning the fight, to be honest. But who predicted who picked Schofield? Pilot or P? Who picked Schofield? Somebody picked Schofield. I know it wasn't me.
That was me. That was me. I picked Schofield. Sorry, I stepped away.
I picked Schofield, but I thought he would struggle with Farmer, but I thought he would get the decision. I didn't think
I didn't see a first round knockout. Nobody saw that shit.
I don't think anybody saw that shit. I was like, what the fuck?
I thought he was gonna win. I thought Father Time would catch up, but I didn't expect it to catch up like that.
Yeah, no. All it took was he stepped. It was a pivot and a right hand right on the button, and that was it. And I was like, and Farmer looked like Farmer was just like out of it. Like you saw, like everything was shaking after that.
Yeah, he was ready to go.
He was toast. And I was like, no fucking way that this is gonna end in a first round knockout. And Schofield didn't waste no time, put him down 2 more times, and the referee was like, yeah, no, this shit is over.
I was gonna say 3 times in 1 round. Like, yeah, he was done.
Yeah, I was completely shocked by that one because like I said, Farmer's coming off giving Zepeda and Muratalla all types of hell. But low key now they think about it, I think when you have because he absorbed a good amount of punishment from Zepeda, and I think it's like maybe it was a fight. It was just maybe too much too soon. Like
I felt like he was overlooking him too. I felt like in the build up and everything, he was like, I should have got some wins off Zepeda. It just felt that mentality, like he was overlooking Schofield. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Schofield as bad, as even though he didn't have loss, Schofield looked worse. Like he was out for a long period of time. Like his last fight, he didn't look good. And then the whole Shakur thing, which obviously because if it wasn't for Dubois getting sick too, Schofield would have probably been blackballed by now. He would have been completely blackballed. So he should be so he is so lucky that Daniel Dubois came down with the same type of sickness too, because that boy was looking to really be in career hell. He is very lucky.
I mean, if he lost that fight with Farmer like many expected, that would have been it. You know, he would have been on OTX type shit if he lost that if he lost that.
Quite possible, yeah. So and you can tell too, because in fact that you can really tell, like, after the fight, dude broke down in his corner. Like, I mean, yeah, it clearly, I mean, the criticism got to him, and it probably would have never got to him as much, But unfortunately, his father is a very outspoken guy, and he uses his son's Twitter to let loose his thoughts, and they're not very popular thoughts. And it was after something that was kind of like, that was kind of suspicious, and there were not enough answers to what was going on with them. So you have that though, but Schofield, at least that's he scored a win. That's something he can build on. So I mean, it keeps him in the hunt for 135. But I am positive though Shakur is not going to really run that back with him because he wasted Shakur's time. As long as Shakur holds the belt there, I'm pretty sure that's not going to be a fight he's going to take unless the WBC orders that shit. But I'll give it to Schofield too, because no one has ever put away Tevin Farmer that quick. I think he's only been KO'd once, and that was early. And that was
early. That was Farmer's one of those guys like B Hop who lost their first couple fights type shit. You know what I'm saying? Farmer hasn't been stopped since.
The Pedraza stopped him, but that was in his 10th fight or some shit like that.
Yeah, that was early onto his career.
Yeah, but like I said, just to see that, you would have thought that maybe just the experience of fighting the killers that Farmer had been fighting would have been more than enough, but. Yeah, it's like I said. Every dog has his day, and I'll give it to Schofield. I just hope that Schofield kind of continues in this, like he builds on something positive, no more bullshit. Like just keep his nose clean and just handle business. But Farmer may need an actual break, like a long extended break. After that one, because I didn't expect. I didn't because no one expected him to get blown away like that, within a round. So Farmer's gonna need a little bit of rest going forward. Like he's gonna need and not that they need to give him a soft touch, because that shit was not cool. That shit was not cool to see him just to get wiped out like that.
Well, I mean, did you even notice after he got hit the first time, or dropped the first time, should I say, that twitch happened right away? Like, dude should maybe not. He should look about retiring. I don't know. Like, did you see how he was when he got dropped and he was, he's saying he was okay. He was looking up already. You know what I'm saying? That twitch shit was happening. I was like,
I don't know what it is. I mean, it's he has tics. I mean, he did it.
I think he mentioned on Twitter he has Tourette's. I think he mentioned it on Twitter. He posted on Twitter.
I mean, I knew what it was because when he was doing it in the JoJo Diaz fight, I knew what it was right away because I had a college roommate that had those sort of tics. I just didn't understand why it happened to happen in that fight where it never happened before. So it's weird. It's a weird thing that he was in trouble and he started ticking like that. But usually you can keep this shit under control with some medication. But most likely, I think more often than not, he probably couldn't take that medication due to him having to take a drug test. You don't want that to be something that he gets popped dirty for. So, but like I said, hopefully that Farmer gets some rest. Like he deserves a little rest after fighting his competition that he's been fighting. Like he's fought harder competition at lightweight than the champions have.
You think Floyd Schofield is more so like Abdullah Mason's kind of his timeline, or or no? I know he's a little older, a tad bit older, but do you think is that more? Probably not. I'm just wondering.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean they can't. I mean, right now, I guess we'd have to wait because Mason is going to be going for that vacant WBO belt. We just don't know when that's actually going to be.
They're being moved differently, and I don't know if the timeline will match up.
I mean, because they're both. I think they're both contenders at this point. They're not prospects or prospenders. I think they're both pretty much contenders at this point. You know what I'm saying? So it's like.
I mean, like I said, Mason is almost borderline. I mean, he's ready to be champion.
I mean, he's fighting. I mean, he's gonna fight Noakes probably on the Bud card for a title. So I can't say he's even a prospender anymore. He's a contender at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And like I said, Schofield got a legit win over a former champion. So it's a really good win for him, and it's good way to get some of his momentum back that he had before his last fight, and then the Shakur shit. So. To me, I think the paths can cross, but it just depends to who's actually going to. Because I mean, Mason had a little bit of issue making weight. Well, I think he had an issue making weight, and these guys are big lightweights, so we don't know how long they're going to have to even make this weight anymore. Like it might be a situation where they might meet at like 140 or something like that. I mean, we shall see. But I mean, obviously, if they have, I mean, I would love to see it because I think Schofield was talking about he beat Mason in the amateurs and shit like that. So, if it's something if that's something that they can make by like next year, like make it before one or the other outgrows the division. Because I have a feeling that's gonna be a thing soon for one of them. And shout out to Julian Rodriguez too, because that was the other big upset on the card. And this is because before that, Jake Paul signed Avius Griffin. I've seen him fight before, 17-0, 16 KOs, had plenty of power, and Julian Rodriguez is just known for getting thumped by Jose Pedraza. That's two Pedraza mentions, two fighters getting thumped by Pedraza legitimately. So that's crazy now. Now Pedraza's like washed as anything. But when Pedraza was on, he was on, and Pedraza beat the living shit out of him. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't expecting nothing more than Griffin actually knocking out Rodriguez though. But that was a hard fight. That was a real hard fight to like. If there was one fight that I could tell that people were interested in watching from where I was in David Buster, it was that card. It was that fight.
I mean, me too. I'm a welterweight fanatic, so I was looking forward to that one. And Avius Griffin, I've seen him on the Bella cards, and I knew eventually he was gonna lose. Just you could tell, but I didn't expect it to be that fight. So
yeah, neither did I. I mean, it was great. He did actually score a legit knockdown and everything like that, and he did cut Rodriguez up like he did later. But it was clear that Griffin his boxing is kind of lacking. Because all Rodriguez had to do was just like crouch low, and he landed the same left hook over.
He spammed that left hook, man. He was spamming that left hook. He couldn't miss.
Yeah, and then the left hook, and that left hook actually ended up being his undoing because that was the left hook that actually that set up the knockout for him.
That was vicious. That was vicious.
Yeah, and the funny thing too is Rodriguez. If Rodriguez didn't score the knockout or the knockdown, he would have lost the fight on two of the cards.
It was like a tied card, wasn't it? Or Griffin was something up one, I think.
And you know that Jake Paul was not gonna let Avius Griffin lose if it went to that.
Yeah, that was never gonna happen.
Yeah. So yeah, Rodriguez,
I wonder if he's gonna cut Griffin now that he took that. Like he just drops these niggas that take that
I mean, that would be some cold-blooded shit. Or Jake would be like, okay, look, we're gonna give you another chance to kind of to get right. I would think. I mean, I get it. Like the promoting is a cold game, and I get that sometimes one fighter fuck up. I mean, we've seen this before, but I would like to think that Jake will probably give him another shot. But if he gets knocked out again, then I can see him getting released. But continue. But considering what they did with Silva, like who even knows at this point though? But I mean, it wasn't like he got knocked out and won. Like he put up a fight. It's just he just got caught with a punch that he was getting spammed with over and over again, and that kind of that.
I was rooting for Griffin, but I can't even be mad because the way Rodriguez was like got on the rope, the sheer power, pure raw emotion. You can never be mad if you're a fan of boxing. You can't be mad at that.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad at him because they mentioned that loss to Pedraza sent him back a lot because it was on national TV. Like he got thumped. So
was it ESPN Top Rank or what was it on?
Yeah, it was a Top Rank card. I remember that shit too because I was like, God damn, like Pedraza's looking like he's like vintage. Like, that was the last time that Pedraza looked like that too.
Turn back the hands of time with that one.
Yeah, like that like he beat dude's ass, and then you can tell that. And Rodriguez happens to be now. He's like he's signed with TKO Boxing, so he's a Dana boxer now. So he's making up for lost time. So it's like Jake didn't even have a chance to even get him on contract. So most likely now we're gonna see Julian Rodriguez in some fashion in like soon.
Oh, yeah, he's gonna headline a TKO card for sure. You know what I'm saying? At this point, probably headline some.
Yeah, I mean, he has a little GameStop belt for that, and he took a 0. Yeah, dude is gonna do some. Dude is Dana's Dana's gonna definitely he's definitely gonna main event a TKO boxing card. So I mean that's a decent pickup for him. But yeah, Julian Rodriguez, because I bet on him to lose. I have to give him his props. He did that. Yeah, I didn't expect him to do it, and he did that. So I have to salute him. But yeah, it was just sad though that that like I said, the undercard was so good, but the main and the co-main just blew. Like it was terrible. Like because honestly, it had at least one of those fights that actually now had the co-main been actually good, then I could tell it would have been then the card would have been more palatable overall though. But they were both struggle, and it was just like ugh. It kind of wasted the efforts of everyone on the undercard to actually put in the work to actually make that shit entertaining before that. So in terms of let's see, and then Raw Curiel too, had a nice little slugfest with the Argentinian and knocked him out in 4 rounds. Like
I missed the beginning. I heard he was getting hurt in that first round with body shots though. I missed the beginning.
He was.
He
was, but then the Argentinian couldn't take the body shots back.
Okay.
Like I said, it was a good scrap. Like I said, these were the fights that had the guys, the people that David Buster's like they were going back and forth. They were reacting to both things happening. But once that co-main hit, they all went to UFC. they all drifted to the UFC screen.
Cruiserweight killing boxing. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was a shame, but. Like I said, it like overall it was a decent card. Like I'm not gonna the only thing I'm just saying is just I don't Jake the fighter. I'm sick of the con is up. You either got shit or get off the pot because right now most people want to see him KO'd now. And you don't want that type of Yes, people will come see your fights because you make it a spectacle and you take cues from pro wrestling. And by the way. Keep fucking Logan Paul off the fucking mic too. I don't know what it was, why they decided to give the dude the mic, and dude was just talking on and on and on.
I will say I did like Tarver's commentary though. I did like Tarver's commentary here.
Yeah, Tarver's commentary was good. Like it was because he got himself back on track, so it was good. But yeah, some people just don't need to be talking, and Logan Paul is one of them. Just give him just give him like a minute or so to spit whatever dribble he's doing, whatever angle he's doing in the WWE, and then get the camera off and keep the car moving. Like it was extended. Like get the fuck out of here. Like no one gives a shit about what you're talking about. Like you're a terrible boxer yourself. So it's like, come on, you're a worse boxer than your brother. So just shut up and keep what you have to say short. Oh man, but yeah, Jake Paul. I mean, obviously, the next Jake Paul event is in 2 weeks, give or take. With as he's going to be part of the whole Taylor Serrano thing, as Serrano is his current marquee fighter. So, and obviously, we'll have a show going through that as well. So, he's. Like I said, everything else in boxing outside of him being a boxer is on a high. So, he's gonna have to build on that. Hopefully, maybe he gets enough talent in the future where he can step away from doing all these stupid carny fights. Where it's clear that they have the handcuffs on.
Good luck with that. That ain't going away anytime soon.
I mean, one thing that boxers always told me about shit like this is somebody eventually will derail the train. It always happens. Someone is going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to follow this goddamn script. I'm going to knock him cold. It's happened throughout history. People
hopefully sooner than later because I don't know how much more I can bear of this shit.
Yeah, because now if the WBA gives him a ranking, then he's going to have to go fight a top 5 fighter at some point. So it's going to be like we'll see how it goes. But like I said. I don't think there's going to be enough money to have people like certain people are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to lose to this guy. Like, no, like he's going to have to prove himself to actually be able to beat some motherfucker without some sort of wild stipulation or gentleman's agreement in the back. Now, that's the way it's going to happen someday. But yeah, I tire of Jake Paul fights. I don't want to see him fight. I don't, if he's gonna be on this real boxer shit, be a real boxer. But don't pussyfoot around the shit. Like there's too, have some integrity and stop threatening to sue people that don't, that talk bad about your career too. That's also pussy too. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, fuck out of here because people didn't like what people said. Yeah, stop being a fucking ninny.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? This, I mean, he basically did the same thing with, when he basically when he tried to say something about Katie Taylor and Serrano and shit like that, and he threatened to sue him. He got offended on that, but now he's doing the same shit. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, no one gives a shit about what you like if you don't want that criticism, fight better. Yeah, Rob D. Drake Paul tired of this dude. Yeah. Like honestly, Jake Paul should. He should have followed his brother into pro wrestling. At least there's a level of work that you understand it's a work, and so you can suspend belief on a lot of different things. Yeah, but it doesn't work for boxing. What he's doing doesn't work for boxing long term, like not at all. Juke Paul. Yeah, like I said, something like I said, he'll slip up one day. Just like I said, like P said, hopefully sooner than later. So before we get up out of here, I know we did a Twitter poll today. If one of you guys can go dig it up really quick.
Let me see.
I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at? Oh, right here. Yeah, we did a part 2 of the last poll. And it was which of these fighters do you think was truly elite? And we had a part 2 with different fighters this time.
Mm-hmm.
We had Nonito Donaire, Anthony Joshua, Timothy Bradley, or Mikey Garcia. We got 23 votes so far, and 48% said Nonito Donaire, 22% said Anthony Joshua, 17% said Timothy Bradley, and 13% said Mikey Garcia.
I'm actually interested. It's actually the skewing. Like, honestly, I thought Mikey Garcia would probably be.
Yeah, I thought Mikey would get a lot more. That was surprising.
I think we gotta try one without a smaller weight because I noticed both times the smaller weight won. I like to see one
It's interesting because how do I say this? I don't mean this in any knock in any way. I've always Nonito is has a great resume and is a Hall of Famer. I don't know if I ever looked at him as an elite talent. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Honestly, before the loss to Rigondeaux, like dude was elite got. Like, I mean, he had been undefeated for like 10 years, and dude was literally knocking niggas senseless. He ended a couple careers. With his brutal, like he was.
He had undeniable power, but there were some fights where I feel like I was watching, and he was I don't know, it was fighting a little bit more on even terms before the knockout game, but it was just bam, got him out of there. It's god damn.
He's one of the best Filipino boxers of all time, and a killer left hook. So it's
What are you gonna say, Pat? You will say what?
No, I was gonna say. As a flyweight, Donaire was as a flyweight dude was untouchable as a flyweight. Like when he got up to bantam, I can see where you said he was fighting more on even grounds, but he's still knocking him out. 122 was when he started looking very mortal. Like it didn't take long for him to start looking like he was an elite. He won titles. He won titles up to 126, but he didn't look. Yep. He didn't look elite at 126, and he was struggling more than not at 122. So, but yeah. But the longest stretch of his career was at flyweight, and he looked very elite because he that left hook was elite as fuck.
Yeah, no, definitely had one of the best left hooks in the game.
Yeah, and it was clean, and it was a clean left hook, it wasn't PED infused, that shit was clean. But yeah,
the other choices Bradley was the guy at 140, but I never looked at him as elite. Oh, I hate it.
I voted Bradley because he's in the Hall of Fame. I
hated his fucking
I did pick
style,
Bradley
bro.
because he's in the Hall of Fame, but
Bradley, I hated Bradley's style of fighting, but I hated watching it. Like I'd say 85-90% of his fights. But the thing is, though, he beat elite competition, and it wasn't like he didn't get any. The only gift he got from an elite fighter was the Pacquiao fight.
Yeah,
that was the only one.
I think he was elite in the sense of his resume was elite. Like,
yeah.
But
that's the part I'll give it to him. Like his resume is absolutely elite.
But as far as like, I don't know, like I didn't like his style. I'd seen too many fighters had him flopping around like a fucking fish in the ring, whether it be Kendall Holt or Provodnikov or just like.
Well, this is I'd say this. I mean, at least Holt itself. I mean, Kendall Holt at least was like a world champion level. He had world champion he had good victories. So it's competition. Provodnikov is the one. I mean, Provodnikov is the one who basically put an end to his career. You know, and like Provodnikov was coming from the ESPN circuit. Like Provodnikov lost a war to Mauricio Herrera.
Yeah, because before the Bradley fight, I always looked at Provodnikov as kind of like a club fighter.
Yeah, he was a case. I know LB because I know LB was like, you know, me and him disagreed on this one, but yeah, like he was a tough guy. Don't get me wrong, he was a tough guy. He had a chin, he had a punch, but dude lost a bloody war to Mauricio Herrera, who punched even less than Bradley did, and he lost that one clear and wide, like a legit 8-4 type of like. So imagine my surprise that that Provodnikov comes the closest to putting Timothy Bradley away, like really putting him away. So I think that's like the big stain on Bradley's career, because he has elite victories over elite fighters, but the one fighter that he could have lost to was not elite and didn't prove to be elite after that. So, you know, that's why I didn't pick him. But his resume though is elite. I can't deny that it's not. He has wins over. He has the zeros of far too many elite fighters for me to say otherwise. You know, I can't say it. Mikey Garcia though, but yeah, like I said, Mikey I thought was because Mikey skills wise, out of all of them, he had elite boxing skills. Like he was the dude that I couldn't see losing until he went to welterweight. You know, because the only time I ever said he would probably lose was the Spence fight, and that was the one I wasn't fucking with because I knew I didn't like what I was seeing at 140. But Mikey's skills were elite, and you know him, and you know obviously training alongside his brother Robert Garcia. Like Mikey was an elite fighter as he went up the divisions. The unfortunate thing for him is he didn't love boxing. He was just good at it, you know,
and it showed.
Yeah, and it showed too. But the funny thing is too, he didn't have any off nights like that. Like I mean, well, except the Salido fight, but that's. Well, no, Salido fight. He beat Salido up and down the ring though. But when Salido, gave him a little headbutt, he wanted out of that fight. But dude was always dude had the most elite skill set that I've seen out of those 4 people on there though. But if he had loved boxing all that much, he could have had a much better career. Because dude, he had in his prime he had too many. He had too many times where he was just out for a long period of time, for years.
He had like contractual issues, right? Promotional.
Yeah, he had contractual issues. Yeah, and it's just like
I feel like he always wanted to just be a cop and just fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like he didn't really love boxing. He was just born into it, because his big brother was a former champion. I just feel like he never had the passion for it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy.
Right.
He became a 4-division champ. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, he's a 4-division champ. He, like I said, he was a great fighter. Like he was the definition of a great fighter. It's just unfortunate that how he ended his career wasn't great. He could have been so much more than what he was. But like I said, what he did still got him into the Hall of Fame, though. So so you can't deny it. It's just like, I think he went too far up in weight. He couldn't handle the Spence. and it was just like, and then Sandor Martin, basically outworked him, in a fight that was just like he didn't have to take, but he took it. So I mean, and Mikey was my choice too, because and he's not my favorite fighter. I mean, Joshua is my favorite fighter though, but Joshua had good stretches, but he didn't look elite. He didn't look as elite as Mikey did. Like Mikey, Mikey was punishing some cats at times. Like really, like there's no fight on here that you can say that before he lost that it's like, God damn, this was close. Like he was beating the shit out of people.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why there was no way I couldn't pick him. Like, dude had even after coming back from like 2 years being out of the ring and shit like that, he looked elite. So I have to give it to him. Like, dude. That's why I'm just surprised that he had the least amount of votes. But I'm thinking that maybe it's just the fact maybe people might not know his career like that. I don't know, or people just remember the Spence fight. I don't know. Because truthfully, I thought it would have been Bradley that would have gotten the nod on this one. But
yeah, I think next time I like the concept. I just think next time we should try it without lower weights because I feel like there's a lower weight. We have a hardcore fan base, and I know our fan base is going to pick. Not saying the lower weight's not elite. I'm just saying both times it was lower. Lower weight fighters that got.
Yeah, but I mean, but if that was the case, I would have expected Mikey or Joshua to, but it's like overwhelmingly Donaire. That's what I'm surprised about. Like, he fought at the weights that most people would like to call insect weights, baby weights, all types of other
noodle weight,
rice weight.
Rice weight, yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm more surprised by that.
Yeah.
But we have 6 days left. Continue to vote on there and whatnot, and who knows? Maybe one of these, maybe the order might switch around by the end of this poll, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I actually like the choices too. But it's just surprising, like who actually got the most, who got the more love. It's just not. I just didn't expect it because Tim is not, like Tim. I mean, Tim wasn't the most popular fighter to watch though, like that, but. Yeah, but I was just surprised that he, even he's like significantly up over Mikey Garcia. So, and then Joshua, of course, being a heavyweight is just like he's up there. But yeah, no, I like this poll. Like it was a really good one. So, but yeah, continue to vote on there. We have 6 more days, and there's not really any boxing like that. I mean. If you have nothing to do on after 4th of July, you can watch Carroll versus Harlem Eubank on DAZN. I will probably catch it when I catch it because
that card is so bad. Jesus, the undercard is bad. I mean, shit. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Basically, it's one of those matchroom cards where it's just like the matchmaking should have probably been a lot tighter if you want to do a 4th of July card because. Yeah, like it's a domestic card through and through, So yeah, but if you feel like watching it, that's what's on there, and that's what's on there this weekend. Else, enjoy your 4th of July weekend. If you're the type to use fireworks, make sure you don't blow your fingers off, or you don't go blind from letting one explode in your face.
Pause, but don't Jason Paul Pierre yourself.
Yeah, don't be an idiot, please.
Yeah, don't be JPP, and just be responsible. And God forbid, I know some neighborhoods kind of let off their actual guns and shit like that. I can't stop it, but y'all gotta be careful with that shit too. Luckily, that's not a thing in my neighborhood. I don't know about y'all neighborhoods if people let off the heat in the air for 4th of July. Mine is just a whole bunch of fireworks. There's like 3 different fireworks shows that I can watch from my front yard. But stay safe, enjoy the barbecue, enjoy if you're eating good barbecue and shit like that. Stay safe. And originally I was gonna play a music show, but I'm like, this is a holiday week, so we'll probably save that until next week for that. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we get up out of here?
No, not really.
Nah, just stay safe. That's all.
Stay safe. come back in one piece. We'll be back next week.
Absolutely. Or you might get a random live from Shuttleworth, doing his, training his future champions of tomorrow and stuff like that, or maybe even a cookout live. Who knows? Well, you never know. But shout out to y'all that be watching those lives, though. I be seeing the engagement on there, so that's good shit. That that you fuck with the lives and shit like that. But we out of here. So for myself, Pat Scorpio, New England representative, for King People Digby, and for Conscious Pilot, this is another wonderful episode of Real Talk, where as always, if shit's real, we talk about it. So until next time, peace.
Peace. One
love.